Hello everyone, welcome to my new video on database design. In this video we are going to design an order management system database, and the order management system it's a very common thing, I think, which is normally asked during interviews or given as a task to design a database for order management system. I was also personally had given this kind of task to design a database for an order management system during an interview. Yeah, so let's get started. Let's see what do we need it and how we can design a database for an order management system. So let's figure out what do we need first. We need customer, right, who needs to place an order. So we need first of all users table. It's a quite straightforward table. Here we have a user ID, then the role, what role user has, and it's a reference. It has a reference, or it's a foreign key which has a reference to user's role. User's role, in user's role we have ID, role text, which is like which defines exactly it's if it's an admin, it's a finance department user, it's some internal users, I don't know, from logistics or whatsoever, because not every user is a customer, so or it's a customer role. Yes, so it's a users table where you normally store all those kinds of informations. I'm not sure about the roles could be different, so that's why we need a role table. And yes, and then and then we will link it with role ID, then first name, last name, user email, password for authentication, then the address which we need it for shipping purpose. We will not take directly from here, but it's like we will take it and put it inside our another table, shipping details table. Yes, but users, I mean, it's a address which will be like a central address. Users will add it here, and yes, then we have a create date time when the user was created, and if any changes were made in that, then last edit. It's these two fields are quite standard field, and I think that's more or less it about user. Let's look into the next table. Informations like first name, last name, email, password, quite common, and the address informations we need to store it here, and this information later on we will use it for shipping purpose, not directly, but we are going to take this information and you will copy it into the shipping information. Okay, yeah, and then the creation date, time, and last modified. If any modification was made, then we will keep track of the changes. It's a normal thing that I normally used to put with almost all the tables. Okay, and next let's see what do we need next. We have a user. Now we need the information about orders, how we can store the information about orders. So order information we are going to store in 3 different tables: orders, order details, and order shipping details. So order shipping details, I think it should be quite obvious from the name. It contains information about the shipping. Orders table contain information about, it's a high level table, or it's a main table for the order, and it's contain the high level information about order. It's like you can think it of as a header. And here we have only information like total amount of the order, customer who has placed this order, linked with this customer ID, or it's actually a user ID. Here it's actually a user ID, and then if any discount applies, then it's a total discount applied here on this order, and order date time, and if it's modified, then the modification date time. Quite simple, but then we need to but order has, of course, other informations too, like what kind of product, and like how many quantity, and what's the individual prices of the product, and so on and so forth. So this information we are not gonna store in orders table, because if we do it, then we will have the issues with the normalizations. That's why we need to split this information, and we need to put it this informations in order details, and in order details contains the individual items, individual order items. For example, your order could have more than one items inside your order. You could have 4 or 5 items. So it's a one-to-many relations means our order can have multiple details, order details. It's a one-to-many relations. It's important because we need more. For one order we need more, we need many details. So it could be, so important thing is this is the link between order and order details, order ID. To establish this link, then we need the product ID, which comes from the product table, and we will talk about the product table. And then the quantity, in how much quantity we the order and the individual item it has been ordered, the price, and if any discount applies on it. And now then let's see what's the product table. It's linked with the product ID, because we are not going to store individual information here, so that's why it's linked with product ID. And the product tables contains it's a kind of, you can think of it as a central inventory which contains list of all the products we have. Or yeah, I mean, inventory could complex. If we design inventory, we could split it into more tables, but just we want to think keeps the thing simple. That's why we say, okay, we have a one table which contains information about product, like product name, like product description, like product price. In the stock information we are also maintaining here, in inventory information, like how much stocks we have available for this product, so on and so forth. And with product ID, it's linked with our details. Yeah, so now we have order details, product, those information. Let's talk about shipping details. Shipping details, it's also linked with order ID. It's also one-to-many relations, as same with order details. And it's normally, you can think of it normally, shipping details contains the address information, like the user addresses, at what address the order should be shipped, and then the shipping status ID. Okay, what's the status? Either it's shipped, either it's in logistics center, either it's received, either it's refund, and so forth, so on and so forth. That's what we can track with this shipping status ID, and the status comes from this shipping status table. It's quite straightforward. And shipping method, what kind of shipping method we have used, and this information comes from this shipping method table. We could have different methods depend on the system, so we will always, this information will come from this shipping method table. And any changes if we made, then we keep track of this informations. Yeah, that's those information we are gonna keep it here. I think one thing is missing here is shipping cost. That should also come here. Shipping charges, no, this thing should go here, and this is wrong. This thing should be part of ordered shipping details. And yes, then we have, okay, let's talk about payment. Payments table contains the information about the payment which has been made on order, and it's for history purpose, which could be which can be later on reused. For example, if you want to issue refund, then you need to have this information about the payments. What, for example, what payment method has been used, from which account the payment comes from, so and for something like that. Or it's just for simply for tracing or tracking purpose, you need those information. So those information goes into this table. It's linked with this order table via order ID, and it's linked with the payment method table via payment method ID. Payment methods could be like something like credit card, debit card, bank account, PayPal, or something like that. So for example, let's say user has made an payment with via credit card, then those fields like account holder name, card number, expiry date, and card type will be filled. This information will be filled, and PayPal ID or IBN or those information will be left. And if any, if in the response we get some kind of transaction ID from, for example, Visa service or something like that, we will store inside this transaction reference field. And let's say if the payment ID is PayPal, then we will store the information inside this PayPal ID, because other fields are nullable fields. If we look here, other fields are nullable. Same for wire transfer. If somebody made a payment via bank account, then we will store the bank account IBN number and ignore other fields. And in the reference we will store whatsoever. In the return we will get some kind of transaction reference or something like that related. And when the payments are created or if any changes has been made, then we will keep this information here. Yeah, I think that's more or less it. And thanks for watching. Bye bye.